Hey guys, Ranchin here, bringing you all another StarCraft commentary. This is going to be the first set in Group B of the Ro32 of the Hana Daetoo MSL. It's going to be between game between Flash and Midas on Ro32. We're going to have Flash at the bottom right-hand position as the brown Terran, and at the upper left-hand position as the red Terran. We're going to have Midas. I'm actually, well, not fully redoing this, but I got, 10 minutes into the game before I realized I was completely confusing the colors. I had the correct colors and positions correct at the beginning, but then it all went haywire in my head for some reason, so whatever. 33, 34, 35, so got some syncing going, and it's kind of not the best thing ever when you're casting into TVT and then halfway through the game you're like, oh crap, I'm casting the players wrong. It'll happen. It's kind of unfortunate, but it'll happen. So anyway, this is between Midas and Flash. Really interesting to see kind of the new guard and the old guard. Flash, of course, the guy that's destroying everybody right now. He is the penultimate Terran player at the moment, the greatest Terran player ever right now, pretty much. The most dominant Terran player in StarCraft right now. He really is killing everybody. Despite his MSL loss in the MSL finals the last season, I think he really has come ahead to just continue dominating, still playing at his best, playing arguably better than Jaedong is at the moment. So Midas is going to go out there with an early SCV scout to start things off. Very uncharacteristic for him, really, because back in the day he used to be known as the guy who scouts never. Just often scouted after his initial factory, and that was just sometimes weird to see. On the opposite side, apparently Flash is going to go for a 14cc because he hasn't built any barracks yet, so he's going to go for 14cc. Midas just going to go for barracks alongside his refinery, and this early SCV for Midas is actually going to really pay off because he's going to be able to get that early scout in there. And it's really interesting for me, really, to just see this matchup as well, because Midas was one of, the Terran players back in the day who could have been extremely great. A lot of people expected many great things of him. Unfortunately, he never really accomplished anything. Never won a Star League or anything of the sort, even though a lot of people were expecting something like that. Meanwhile, just going to go in there and Flash. Oh, God, I'm confusing things again already. Okay, that was the opposite. Midas went for the 14cc. Oh, God, that would have been awful. That would have been awful if I did it all over again. Midas going to go for the 14cc. Flash going to go for the barracks alongside Refinery. Do apologize. Wow, if that had happened twice, I would have just thrown my microphone into my window in frustration. So Flash going to counter this by going for a very quick command center himself. I think he actually didn't have any gas mining, so he's just going to get the command center going. Oh, snipes an SCV. Meanwhile, going to continue being annoying, delaying the command center as long as humanly possible. Midas meanwhile just plopping down that barracks below that ramp. Going to pull off yet another SCV to force Flash's own SCV away. So nice play there from Flash, trying to delay at least as long as possible as he's going to attempt this, as he's going to attempt to play, catch up economically, float off his command center as soon as his first Marine comes out. And with that 14cc, despite it being a little bit delayed, Midas is going to have a bit of economic lead. He's going to be able to get more factories, produce from more factories a little bit faster. Going to have that additional gas a little bit faster. Meanwhile, now he's also going to get his scout inside. Flash moving out with that Marine, not going to be able to stop the SCV scout. And Midas, not going to go in for the kill on that last SCV. Just going to go inside, spot the factory coming up now for Flash. The two factories actually coming up now for Flash. Probably going to be seeing Midas adding in his own second factory as soon as he sees this. He is sure. Well, not just because he sees this, but also because he has the economy for it. Ranchin, makes sense. That makes sense, right? But this 14C really going to give Midas an opportunity to produce units at a higher rate. And because, Flash tried to, compete economically, followed with a command center pretty fast right on Midas's heels as soon as he saw what was happening. So at the very least, he's not going to be very far economically behind, but this is going to give Midas a little bit of window opportunity to have more units out there. Going to add in a third factory right now. Add in one machine shop. I think I saw a machine shop. I'm not quite too sure. Yeah, I did say a machine shop on the opposite side coming in for Flash as well. I thought I saw that. Yeah. Gonna see now what each player decides to go for. Flash is gonna go for two machine shops, so he's gonna go for very heavy tank production. On the opposite side, we are most likely gonna be seeing heavy vulture production from those factories. And I also would have gotten for two alongside machine shops. talking as if I don't know what's going to happen. So at the very least, this is going to give Midas, quick armory out there for Flash. He's going to try to win the upgrade war as well. Going to continue getting some upgrades going. And one of the things I learned about upgrades is that past upgrade +2 doesn't really matter what you're going to go for. Just get those +2 upgrades as a turn player and just continue pumping. Vulture's going to come out first. Probably going to go for speed. Maybe mines. Might be mines before. But generally in the TVT, you do see speed coming up first because it's going to give you that maneuverability advantage. And when a tank when you have only a small number of tanks you're facing, you are going to be able to go in with those vultures, go in there and do a lot of damage with them. Despite the lack of mines, you're going to be able to go and get some surrounds going. You will lose a couple of vultures as you do so, but still could do a lot of damage. 5 vultures out there ready for Midas. He's going to continue production. On the opposite side, we see 1 tank and a marine out there for Flash. We're moving out a little bit, force that barracks back a little bit, if nothing else. Midas meanwhile gets his own barracks in there. 3 tanks out there for Flash alongside 1 single SCV. Not really going to be able to accomplish much with that. But at the very least, going to be able, because the units are rather large, going to be able to prevent from those vultures from moving in and harassing that natural without significant sacrifices. We did see Flash. Well, I did. Hope you did. If you didn't, that's why I'm telling it to you guys. But we did see Flash, that is, adding in another academy. A academy, so he can get some concepts. Kotsam? Did I say, what is that? Sounds like some sort of dog food or something. Comset station. He's going to move out and split out his tanks a little bit, setting them so that 1 tank acts as a spotter for the other tank. Sizable, I think, 8 vultures out there now for Midas. Well, Flash adds in his third factory quite a bit later after Midas, but Midas now going to add in full machine shop, so he's going to just bulldoze with tanks. Follow this up, these vultures with heavy tanks. We're going to go towards a 4 o'clock position, which will be Flash third, and plant down tanks to prevent that from happening. And while he actually expands towards his own 1130, Flash going to go for Goliaths instead of vultures. Going to go out there, going to be able to blow up the barracks. So if Midas wants to put down an additional factory, he's going to want to do that fairly soon. See a 3rd machine shop coming out there for Flash. He's going to focus very heavily on the tanks and some Goliaths alongside. Very heavily on the tanks and some Goliaths alongside. So he's going to try to play some standard Terran play. On the opposite side, we do see Midas going to get that academy going, going to get a factory going, I think, before his couple of factories going. Yeah, should have done that just before his barracks dies in the air. And Flash is building his 3rd command center, but he's not going to be able to plant that down. He's going to move out a little bit with some of his Goliaths. Also mines out there, does scan the area, so he's able to clear some of these mines up. Few mines going to be, 1 mine going to blow up right in his face. 2 mines going to blow up right in his face. A couple of Goliaths going to go down. 1 heavily damaged tank. We're going to see what actually moves on with a CV or something in that position to repair that. Meanwhile, Midas is going to be able to put down his 3rd refinery, while Flash's 3rd base is going to be heavily delayed. 5 tanks and a bunch of vultures moving up towards the upper left-hand position, and Flash is going to be out of position with his own tanks. Midas is going to have a superior tank number alongside those vultures to act as a heavy support. Pardon me. Excuse him. Wow. 1 tank moves in and dies instantly. 4 tanks out there for Flash. Midas still has his 5, still has those vultures. Don't think they have any mines on him there, so yeah, they try to move out. The only thing they can really do at this point is try to absorb some shots. Going to go in for the kill at the tank at their upper right-hand bridge. So on the left-hand bridge now, and Flash still in lesser numbers has that barracks there. So the only advantage he has, the barracks to act as a spotter for him. But still not going to be able to hold his position very well. He's going to be forced to move his barracks, then forced to just make a slow retreat. Engineer B now coming up there, so finally going to see some turrets for Midas, possibly just to set up his positions, just in case Flash decides to go for dropships. And this does look like a very standard build. Does look like Flash is going to be for dropships. Going to go ahead and clear his position at the 4 o'clock with tanks. I think he used up a scan first before doing anything else. Adding in a 4th factory now. He is behind in factory count. He is behind in economy. So Midas definitely ahead so far. Not an advantage that Flash can't turn around, but still also going to lose these tanks at those bridges. Has some more tanks at the back, but I think Midas is going to be able to move in. Unless reinforcements coming from Flash, Midas is going to be able to clear those out. Going to siege up. Moving in close with those wraiths. Vultures as well. Flash is going to have some reinforcement coming in from the back, but still I feel Midas is in a slightly better position. Flash, thankfully for him, does have a barracks there to act as a spotter, so I think he might clear that tank number up and just not getting his 3rd going. At this point, I think the players are going to be fighting for the corners, and it's a question of which corner you might want to take for yourself. It's also a question of which is the quicker resupply route. Flashman is going to go for the starport, so he's most likely going to be going the dropship route. But the upper right-hand corner, I feel, is a slightly more closed-off position. It has bridges, which, mind you, 2 tanks can pass across, I believe. So it's still a very large position. Both positions are rather large. In the lower left-hand position, at least, there are ramps for you to fight on higher ground. But still, you can turn up, and both can be fairly well-defended positions. So it's what you really want to do. I feel that an attack from the air is more viable on the lower left end. So if you're going to defend against aerial attacks, take the lower left end. If you're going to, and I feel that ground attacks are less viable at the upper right hand. Wait a minute, did I say that wrong? Ground attacks are I feel less viable at the lower left hand. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. I feel ground attacks are slightly less viable at the lower left hand, and I feel that air attacks are slightly less viable at the upper right hand. That's what I wanted to say. Dear God, confusing myself. Flash, meanwhile, as I say that, already has Midas. I'm sorry, God, I'm again doing this. Midas has expanded the inside. Well, yeah, kind of inside 9 o'clock, and also picked up the double gas at the lower left hand. I don't know if Flash is going to be able to leave that alone for too long. He's meanwhile going to pick up his upper right hand to counteract this. Going to try to pick up his own double gas, and I think this is it's going to be the focal part of this entire matchup. It's going to be these two players fighting for the upper right-hand corner bases. Probably going to be seeing the most battles around that because Odd-Eye does not lend itself to a huge battle down the middle because of simply that the entire middle, a large part of the middle has nothing on there. Meanwhile, Flash moving down with a couple of tanks and Goliath to go out there to the lower left and clearing that entire position up. As he, meanwhile, picks up the upper right hand for himself. Midas, meanwhile, has a lot of forces on the ground. So if he decides to move out towards that upper right hand, he's going to be able to go and clear it up pretty easily. Might move towards the lower left and try to pick it up, but I think actually it's more important for him at this point to just deny bases for Flash rather than pick up any of his own because he does have an advantage, does have 4 bases mining. As Flash tries to pick up his 4th at the upper right hand and tries to pick that up for himself as his 4th base. Midas, meanwhile, going to have vultures and tanks coming across the bridges. You see a lot of forces can come across these bridges and try to siege up. Vultures going to come in to absorb some shots, going to come in close to the tanks, pick those off. Midas Flash is going to have some reinforcement, but Midas in a very good position. A lot of tanks already has crossed those bridges, lost a lot of his vultures, but a few will still come in to help. As he's coming off the lawn, they die pretty quickly. Midas still in a very heavy tank position here, and Flash really doesn't manage to reinforce quite as well. Still manages to force a splash on some of the tanks of Midas thanks to his SCVs, and going to force and be able to float off. His command center. One single dropship flying towards the upper end position. Dropships do not run. On the opposite side, Midas going to go for Wraiths. One single starport with Wraiths inside, so that's going to be his counter to it. He's actually very interesting builds, very interesting builds. Midas actually not going to stick to standard play. Dropship Goliath tank. He's going to go for Wraiths, which is going to continue the Wraith prediction. Of course, the Wraiths, if you find some tanks out in the open with a decent number of Wraiths, you're going to be able to pick that tank off. Not too quickly, but still, quickly enough so that if he tries to repair, it's going to be, not going to happen. Flash can try to move in with more reinforcements towards the upper right hand, but at the very least, Midas has done the job he needs to do. He needs to just hold his position here. Doesn't even need to try to clean these forces up of Flashes. He just needs to go up there, clean that up. Also, Midas picking up the 12 o'clock base. Yet another command center for him. 5th base out there from Midas to Flash's 3. So he's completely out microing Flash. Flash actually looking like a little bit in trouble. He is going to pick up the lower left hand, try to counter his loss at the upper right hand, picking up yet another gas for himself. But Midas in a very good position overall. He still has a lot of those vultures. Vultures really paying off for him, giving him the positioning across the entire map, giving him the spotting. Has those mines all over the place. And just going to be able to be very maneuverable with it. Flash going to try to counter that maneuverability with his own dropships, but he has to be very careful because those Wraiths are in play now. They do get countered by Goliaths, especially when they have Charon boosters and don't have any cloak, as Midas' current Wraiths do not have. But still, Flash is in a much more vulnerable position. Never mind the fact that Midas is 2 bases over him. Those Wraiths really could render these dropships complete use. Is going to be able to catch 2 of these dropships. Thankfully, 1 Goliath down there for Flash. Charon booster going to be able to push these Wraiths back. It's now going to be a question for Midas to go to his lower left-hand position and push there. He really will be able to do so. Flash is ahead in the upgrades war, but 2-1 not really that important unless you're 2 ahead. You're good. You're good for now. Flash is going to be able to continue dropship production, but he really, as I've said already, he really has to be very careful on how he does that. Only sitting on 5 factories. Only on 5 factories at this point in the game. I think Midas has 7 or 8 at this point. Losing a Wraith there, but still moving with vultures, trying to keep up tanks all over the place. any route there is to anywhere, he's going to have mines across it. Moving in with vultures at the front and tanks at the back, the low left-hand Flash yet again going to pull off some of his SCVs. Wraiths coming to support as well. Thankfully, Flash has some dropships coming in, drop some reinforcements, but still Midas might be able to push this to the point to force a float. That's the whole point. Does force a float. The Commander does float away. So Midas has yet again accomplished, just because of his heavier economy, much superior economy, because of his much heavier production of units, can actually hold two significantly large armies at both corners to do nothing but deny mining for Flash. He does not need to go around there and pick off those units. He does not need to. He simply needs to outlast Flash. He simply needs to continue pumping a larger army, continue having a higher economy. Oh, and Flash walking into a lot of tanks there. Going to be forced to scan those and clear this up that way. But Flash really in a bad position, still only on 3, Midas on 5, and Midas holding complete advantage, complete map control, and just has a much higher production of army at this point, continuing to get those tanks, vultures, has those wraiths out there. They're going to become a massive annoyance, especially if he tries to get a larger number of them. I'm not really quite sure if he's producing a lot. He's continue producing more wraiths. Does not add a control tower yet, so they're not going to be cloaked, so that's going to at least leave him a little bit vulnerable to Goliaths, if nothing else. But still, if they manage to catch their dropships in the open somewhere, running into reinforce, that could be game right there. Just if he manages to pick up Flash's entire dropship fleet, there's going to be no chance whatsoever for Flash to come in, because that's what he has right now. Has his dropship fleet, but nothing else. Midas, meanwhile, at the upper right hand, going to already put down a command center, so he is going to eventually try to clear the position upper right hand. He knows if he takes down one of the corner bases and Flash denying Flash both corner bases, will pick up one of his own. That's going to be it. Also going to plop down a command center at the lower left position, so he's going to be crazy trying to, basically go either base. And I think at this point, the whole point of this is he might go for 2 attacks on both these corners, force Flash to try to micromanage both armies. Still has reinforcements coming in from all sides. Has his V's coming off the line to reinforce. So he is going to try to take this upper right-hand base. We're going to see what he does with the lower left hand, whether that's going to wait for a little while. But is reinforcing the upper right hand at the moment. So he is going to try to go for this. Flash does have full dropships at the moment, 4 of them. So he's going to have some tanks, but Maya's going to go with the upper right-hand vultures at the front. Not that many vultures this time. Some finally now coming in to support. Some tanks at the back as well. More reinforcements running in from Midas. He's going to be able to clear up these forward tanks, no problem. Flash is going to come in with some reinforcements, but I'm not quite sure whether that's going to be enough. Only 4 dropships. Midas still has quite a bit. Some tanks going to siege up, some Goliaths helping out as well. No wraiths in position, but not really necessary. Just put vultures going to come in, try to do some damage. More reinforcements coming in from Flash on the ground. Midas still might have enough tanks. Flash going to try to get some drops from those dropships. Does help him clear out some of those forward tanks, and also Midas' own splash not really helping him. But still, Flash not going to be able to mine from that base. Run in with his own dropships. Wraiths coming in, and I said dropship when I meant to say Wraith. But Wraiths coming in, they're going to be able to clear out these tanks as well. Force those dropships back. So Midas playing an absolutely beautiful game of StarCraft here. Going to force a float, and still going to probably just fire the Commander with a Wraith. But Midas now going to be able to pick up the upper right hand for himself. And still this constant production of forces coming in handy. And now Flash really has to do something desperate. He has to, first of all, this upper right hand cannot be allowed to come up and cannot be allowed to run. 2 additional gas for Midas right now will be a killing blow to Flash. Midas will be able to afford way too much. You're going to add in 2 more starports to continue very heavy Wraith production. And actually has a control tower up, so he's going to start researching Cloak, and he might actually eventually switch this up into battle cruisers if he wants to. He's with that double gas and the way he's denying Flash anything, he's going to be able to really afford battle cruisers if he wants. But I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's going to try to do it. I think he's just going to continue what he's done. He's played an absolutely beautiful game of StarCraft so far. Still those vultures going out there and really being a pain in Flash's ass, really just an absolute pain. Flashman we're going to go for it all out at this low left hand. Bunch of tanks going to go in there and instantly pull back. Midas with a completely superior position. Move in with these vultures. They might actually completely we're going to see what they actually meant to completely clear up. Going to start putting on a couple of mines. These mines. Oh, 1 single tank left alive. Midas going to move down. Finish that off. Flash in an absolutely horrible position. So at this point, I think Flash is very close to a GG. Midas, wow, coming out of nowhere and beating the current TVT master. Wow. Going to continue producing Wraiths like crazy. Going to have Cloak on him now as well. Flash, at the very least, managed to pick up a base at this 6 o'clock, inside 6. Going to try to drop. Should actually be able to clear up these tanks from these dropships. It has enough. Midas, meanwhile, has reinforcements coming in from the back. So Midas just has all the forces at the right time. Does manage to clear up the position, but still takes heavy damage. Thankfully, because he's fighting off a ramp, he's at the very least going to be able to fight up on this, but it's going to be forced to not mine from some of those mineral patches. Still, Midas had not mining from his main at this point. Meanwhile, gonna put down a command center at the lower left hand. Has a huge fleet of Wraiths out there. Midas mining at its natural, that 12, the upper right, the 1130. Gonna move out with Ace Cloak up. There are some turrets there, but they're gonna be ineffectual now. Some scans coming off. But nothing. Fugalize is going to come in to force those Wraiths back, but still, Midas managed to do some damage, lessening those forces. So he's probably not going to run up the ramp, but he doesn't really need to. But holding the absolutely huge lead over Flash at this point. So, not really much else to say. Dominated. Yeah, Flash breathing out. And actually going to lose his command center to Wraiths at the lower left hand. But double gas on both corners from Midas. Flash going to continue producing some dropships apparently, but still, they're just going to be ineffectual at this point. He does not have the army. He has no mining except for that mineral only at this inside 6 o'clock. And actually, he's not mining from there either. So, Midas meanwhile just continuing to produce a huge number of troops. So he's absolutely dominating this. It kind of reminds me a little bit of C's game. Oh, GG from Flash. And he loses the game. Oh, so Flash start off this new MSL season. Gonna lose. And to Midas of all people. Dear lordy. So, wow. Yeah, not much else to say. We're going to see where the Flash manages to bounce back. Because of all upsets in the round 32 of the MSL, Flash losing is not something I'm expecting. We're going to see what happens. GG guys, Renshin out. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Hey guys, Renshin here, bringing on the StarCraft commentary. This is going to be the second set in Group B of the round 32 of the Hana Daetoo MSL. It's going to be on match. This is going to be on match point between HyuN. That's going to be in. Okay, God, please tell me they're going to. Yeah, please God, change the colors. Please God, change the colors. Please God, change the colors. Oh, thank you, dear Lord. Okay, thank God. So the bottom left position in skin color or white, beige I suppose it is gonna be HyuN. At the upper right hand position in red, it's gonna be Action. Ready for action. Always ready for action. So 34, 35, 36, sinking going on. So first set, whoa, surprise. Very good TVT, really interesting match, and a really big surprise to see the results. I'm really looking forward to see which one of these guys ends up facing the respective winner and the respective loser of the first set. I'm kind of wondering whether I should bother spoiling it or not. I'm kind of just trying to avoid it. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I assume most guys will watch that first, considering who's playing in it. And I assume some people will just look at this and go, you know what? I'd rather just not watch it. Something, 10 to 20 minute ZVZ. You know, if they see ZVZ and it's like half an hour, some people will check it out because they're hoping for Guardians and or Devourers or some weird stuff like that. But it doesn't happen too often, unfortunately, folks. So ZVZ, from these guys, these are relatively, what could I say, mid-level Zergs, I guess I should call them that. Both of them apparently are, I think both of them apparently going for 12 hatches, except, interestingly enough, Action's actually, I'm not sure whether that was a 12, I'm pretty much sure it was a 12 hatch, but he's actually setting it up as a production hatchery to kind of block off a ramp, create himself a little bit of space just outside his natural. So that's going to be very interesting. We're going to see, it really depends on what he's going to manage to do economically. I mean, HyuN's going to have a position that's going to be slightly harder to defend, and, you know, his natural expansion is going to be an easy target, basically an obvious target. But he's going to have a stronger economy as the game goes on, while Action, I mean. All the stuff I said previously applies to Action. I'm getting confused again. But, yeah, meanwhile, applies to HyuN, I mean. Dear God. I'm getting confused all over the place. Yeah, so as the game goes on, HyuN's going to be in a slightly better economic position, but Action, he's going to have just a production hatchery, which makes me think that he's most likely going to rush for Midas. He might switch it up though and try to rush for speedlings and get just as many speedlings as he can out there. Try to end it with just a mass of those. We're going to see what happens. Spawning pool's on the way, and we're going to be seeing some Zerglings popping out. Hatchery's going to be ready momentarily for both players. And we are going to see what's going to happen. Let's see. HyuN just now gets his Overlord into position. Going to spot that upper right hand. Going to spot the hatchery momentarily. Going to see, okay, what's this guy's going to do this. Okay. That hatchery definitely not nearly as vulnerable as HyuN's hatchery, but still, Action going to rush to lair. So I assume this is going to be just him trying to rush and getting as many Midas out there as possible. And this is going to come down to some serious micro, how well he manages to utilize, how quickly he manages to get these forces out there. And I'm not really sure whether I like this kind of move on this map, because this is a two-player map, but there is decent enough distance between the two. There's not a huge amount, but there is some distance between the two players, which, you know, it doesn't take as long with Midas, but still, there is a little bit of distance. I'm actually going to start off just with 6 Zerglings. I'm going to produce some more. Going to see whether he gets speed on that. Apparently just thinking of using those for defensive purposes because he's keeping them close to his natural expansion. And just now going to plop down his Spire. As his lair comes up on the opposite side, we're probably going to be seeing exactly the same move from HyuN. Just getting a bunch of initial Zerglings. He actually has his lair a little bit later. We're going to see whether that is because he got speed before he went full lair or not. I'm not overall too sure. Whether he has a speed on the way, and if he does that, he might just go out now and go for some aggressive action. No Spire down now, so I think he just was a little bit late of with setting that down. And actually, yeah, no, there it is. Speed on Zerglings before the Spire went down. I'm not quite sure whether that's actually the same on the opposite side. I think Action might have actually gone for the Spire before anything else. Has actually speed on Zerglings as well. So we are going to be might see some sort of Zergling engagement. At the very least, HyuN trying to get a couple of Zerglings past to get a scout in. Actually going to react to that, going to go in and clean that up before anything becomes of it. And that actually would have been an absolutely beautiful spot if HyuN could have gone for a calm-like move, basically keep some Zerglings below the ramp, just use the other two as a distraction, try to run by. Yet again going to try to go for a run by. Has one Zergling that's but half health that might actually run in and do something. Action going very heavy on the Zergling. Going to move out here. Try to. He's actually at the 9 o'clock mineral only position now. On the opposite side, HyuN does manage to sneak by a scout, and I think overall these players have both very large Zergling numbers, so neither really wants to engage the other. Just going to keep some large Zerg groupings out there and get some Midas out there. I'm going to see whether that's going to be the factor or not. See, just gas production coming down at the moment for HyuN, so he's going to be getting some Midas out there. On the opposite side, really the thing I see here is that HyuN looks to be in a much stronger position because he is mining his second gas but he also has that hatchery for production. Actually going to run his Zerglings down. Action apparently thought of sneaking a few Zerglings by, but that was not going to happen. There was no way that HyuN was going to allow that. Action's initial mutalisks are out there, probably going to be seeing HyuN's right now, coming in right now, so they are also going to be in time. I don't really think that Action's going to accomplish too much with these mutas. Trying to hide them a flame on the northern side, but I think HyuN spotted that with an Overlord. Definitely knows about that now because the mutas are attacking it. But I probably spotted. We have been spotted, so kill the spot. The opposite side, HyuN's going to try to do the same. Going to try to pick off this Overlord. We're going to see whether Action tries to move in and engage those mutas or not. He has, I think, a slightly superior number at the point. I don't think HyuN's built up quite as many mutas, but he's going to have a huge muta superiority as the game goes on. Also some Scourge out there for Action on the opposite side as well. So really, as the game goes on, there we go. Oh god, I didn't think of that at all. Nice. So really, this still, despite this interesting move from HyuN, as he's actually going to go for the attack here, engaging with his mutas and Scourge hitting each other on all sides. Think Action coming in a little bit ahead. He has more Scourge to work with at the moment. He's going to be forced to fly to the upper right in position. Muta's a little bit lagging behind it. HyuN actually going to move with some of these Zerglings out there. But yeah, despite the fact Action went for a cool move by putting that hatchery there, so he is going to be able to get, mine his gas. Probably not. There seems to be not quite as fast a rate as regularly. But this means that the longer the game goes on, the better position still, I think, HyuN is going to be in. Because despite Action's interesting move, he's still going to be able to mine some gas. But actually, now that I look at the animations, I think they might be mining at about the same speed. One drone mining gas killed there by Action, so a little bit of damage done. But still, if the game should evolve into a longer game, there's going to be a stronger economy for HyuN because he's going to be able to build up a larger force. But at the moment, I think that's exactly the plan of action. Plan of action by action is to make sure this is not evolving into a long game. A lot of Scourge going to come in from. We're going to see is some hits, some being microed against pretty well by HyuN. But HyuN doing a decent job, but losing some mutas in there. Action going to actually fly back. Now, I'm surprised a little bit. I think he has a superior number of mutas out there. Some of them are very heavily damaged though, so he wants to move back and get some reinforcements. And of course, the problem with engaging, especially on this map, is that a pretty long reinforcement route for your mutalisks, but the defending player has a very quick resupply route, and that of course applies to pretty much every ZVZ, but on maps like this, and Arai as well, that really becomes extremely applicable. Many maps that have cross positions, that becomes extremely applicable. Yet again, going to see an engagement. There are some Zerglings on the ground there to absorb some of the shots. Action going to actually run back home and shoot some of these down, while HyuN does manage to run with some of these Zerglings up, but Action has a bunch of his own Zerglings ready to absorb that completely. So HyuN actually completely sacrificing some of these Zerglings for absolutely nothing. So now he has less of an army to work with, going to be able to pick up an Overlord here, but really sacrificing all those Zerglings, don't really think that really what he would have wanted to do. If he'd gone in with his own mutas, might have been able to do something while he was distracting Action's mutas with his own Zerglings, might have gone and do some killing, but decided against it. So far, I still think Action is a slightly longer prohibition, but as the game progresses, it's going to turn worse for him. Action going to move in with his own Zerglings because he knew that HyuN sacrificed a lot going for that attack, but still, with those mutalisks in place and no mutalisk support for the Zerglings on Action's part, not real much. I'm still surprised. I think Action really should just build up an army. He had the Zerglings, and he went for that attack with those Zerglings. He should have just had his mutalisk alongside to support, engage the mutas in the air, so he might have actually won the ground battle if he had done that. And he only needs to win one of the engagements. In the ZVZ, really, the air engagement is definitely more important because overall, because mutas can attack everything, and because pretty much because they can attack everything. If you have nothing but Zerglings, you're going to be screwed against the mutas. But if you go for an engagement and two armies wipe each other out, and one player has a semblance of an army left, either on the ground or in the air, he's going to be in a much stronger position. HyuN, lot of Scourge in a huge conga line and a huge formation behind his mutalisks, and some of his own Zerglings are running out as well. Both players have a lot of Scourge. HyuN actually going to go and pick off another Overlord, while actually going to be forced to being distracted by some Zerglings on the ground. Going to see the engagement comes in. HyuN trying to lure Action to trap. Has a lot of Scourge. Both players with a lot of Scourge. I think Action though has a few more. HyuN, I'm sorry, has a few more. Action has a lot of reinforcement mutas just ready for them. Some of them get hit by Scourge, but still, I think it's going to, despite more Scourge coming in and hitting Action's mutas, I think just Action in an overall better position. He also has Carapace 1 upgrades. While on the opposite side, I think HyuN doesn't. So Action's just going to be able to run this down. HyuN's ground army taken care of, and really his mutalist number not enough. Going to be forced to run back home. No Carapace upgrade on him. Trying to send one muta off to the side track as a distraction. That's not going to happen. Oh man, Action just fully inside here. Some reinforcement mutas out there for HyuN. I'm going to see whether Action has enough. I think Action has enough number here. More Scourge coming in for HyuN, but I think Action has even more muta reinforcement coming in. But that single Carapace upgrade really coming in handy at this point. Investing in that sometimes really can become huge advantages. GG from HyuN as Action takes it. So that's going to be that. We're going to... nice win there by Action. He's going to be going on to the winner's match. So this is altogether looking out to be a very interesting group. HyuN going to move on to the losers. We're going to see how all this evolves. We're guaranteed 2 TVZs today. Might have more, depending on how the rest of the games go. We're going to see how it is. So GG guys, Renshin out there listening. Hope you enjoyed. I got to get all this group stuff done because round 16 right around the corner. Oh my god. Hey guys, Renshin here, bringing you all another StarCraft commentary. This is going to be the winner's match in Group B of the Ro32 of the Hana Daetoo MSL 2010 spring season, also known as the Renshin MSL. Of course, this is going to be a fighting spirit between Midas and Action. Oh man, it is hilarious seeing Midas here. It is hilarious. He's going to be at the upper left-hand position as the red turn. We're going to have Action at the bottom right position as the beige Zerg. I'm sorry. Or is that white? Anyway, I think that's white. But anyway, I have to point and laugh. Well, not exactly point and laugh, but I have to laugh out loud seeing Midas in this position. Winning Flash and just very solidly beating him in a straight-up TVT game. Great results from him so far. 38, 39, 40. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what he does. And of course, I think alongside most other StarCraft fans, we kind of root for the old school guys. We kind of root for them, you know. We might not expect much. Some of us just flat out just, you know, whatever. If he loses, he loses, you know, because if they put too much hopes in and then when they end up getting disappointed, you know, they feel like crap. So a good example, I think the primary example of this are Savior fans, guys that are still hoping that it'll come back. And, you know, especially when Savior started the whole destroy everybody in 2009 thing. Really got a lot of people going. Actually going to start this off with a overall poll. So we're going to see where Midas decides to go for what pretty much everybody's going for these days. 1 Rex into Expo, pretty safe build that everybody seems to go for here. Is getting his barracks up to start off. But this is Midas. He is Mr. Old School, so he might decide to switch up. A 2 Rex build, I think, is not overall too good on a 4-player map, especially one of this size. Particularly in this kind of position, there's quite a decent amount of distance to cover between the two bases when they're in cross positions. But just as I say this, Midas goes for 2 Rex build, so he is going old school. And I gotta say, though, on the opposite side, we do see Action getting his hatchery going, his natural expo. I do gotta say that this might actually be a good idea by Midas in that Action will not be, in most likelihood, will not be expecting this. I suppose what Midas has going for him, he's being very creative. He played very creatively against Flash, going for a very nice build that really countered what Flash went for, despite the fact that Midas had started off a little bit economically behind in that matchup. Action apparently popping all of his eggs into Zerglings, so he's thinking of going and putting on some pressure. So definitely good in that regard for Midas. Is going to have 2 barracks worth of Marines out there in time. This is going to delay his tech a little bit, but he is going to be able to get a sizable force out there pretty quickly. It is also going to delay his expansion a little bit, but when you play against a 2-base Zerg, you can still hold off 1 base for quite a while. You might want to try to hurry your expansion, but at the very least he's going to be able to plop down the command center onto high ground, then float it off. CV coming down there for Midas right across the middle. 5 Marines out there already going to be able to defend against these Zerglings easily, although I feel the Zerglings run off the ramp and spot every single one of those Marines. They are going to be revealed, so I think Midas should actually force a few of his Marines back, but no, he's just going to reveal all 4 of them. He's actually going to move out. Has 5 Marines. I thought he had 5 earlier, but 6 Marines now. He's going to move out. Going to force, at the very least, Action to put down a sunken colony at this front. He has a SCV there, so he might actually threaten with a bunker there as well. Still producing something. Has Academy going right now. Going out with his 5 initial Marines. I don't think he's going to try to push this. He's going to move back with his SCV. Don't think he's going to push this, but he might decide to put on some pressure. Just has to be very careful because when you have Marines out there with no stim, no medic support, they are fairly vulnerable. Actually, no, he's going to keep him back. Has a group of 4 running towards the 9 o'clock position while still 4 back home to defend. Is even more popping down on his ramp. Going to have medics coming out as well to support now, just waiting on the stim at the moment. But he's going to have a very sizable army very soon. So definitely going to have something to fight Action with. Action, meanwhile, just did put down a creep colony at his natural expo just for the future, just in case. Does have a lair coming up. Yeah, 2 base, 2 hatch Spire build. Of course, Action in response really wants to hurry up and get some mutas out there because Midas going to go for aggressive Action, going to get them comsat stations going. He's going to go out there, and if Action's not ready for this, he does not have that many forces in the ground. Does have SCV. He's going to put down 2 sunken colonies at the front, but has a very, very small number of Zerglings. Then when Firebat's coming in to support as well, they're going to help absorb the hits from those sunken colonies and help take them out. They're going to be 3 sunken colonies at the front. We're going to see whether Midas actually decides to go for this. This could be absolutely brilliant, well, not really brilliant aggressive maneuver that could win him the game. Action, meanwhile, going to get a Zergling scout inside there. Is he going to go for it? He's waiting on stim. He does stim up. Is going to go for this. Medic's coming from the back. He's going to go for this right now, right before 1 second sunken colony moves in. He's going to be able to take down 1 second sunken colony. Only very few Zerglings to defend, but still only 4 Marines at this point. They are slowly dying to the sunken colonies. Firebat's coming in. We're going to see whether they're going to be able to come in there at critical time. Why Firebat actually stuck a little bit at the back, moving in right now as well. 3rd sunken colony going to go down momentarily. There's 1 more sunken colony going to come up. Drones trying to come off the line, trying to form into more sunken colonies. 1 Firebat and 2 Marines. Are they going to be able to take the final sunken colony down? They are stimming up like crazy. Hana going to be able to try to take this down. 1 Marine coming into support, going to pick up the Zergling that comes from back. More Zerglings morphing. They instantly get melted. But Midas with 1 single Marine left and heavily damaged, going to be forced to push back. Really aggressive this for him. Still more reinforcements coming. He's going to try to wait for this. has more in the way. Does he have an eBay though? Because he's going to be facing up against Midas very soon, and I really fear for him here because if the Midas fly out and engage Midas at his main, Midas is going to be in a lot of trouble. Still scanning that natural. Going to go for it here. Going to try to break the last Sunken. Has 5 Marines to do this with. That Sunken actually going to go down very quickly. But is he going to have enough to fight against the rest of this? He's going to be able to take down the natural expo. There are going to be Mutalisks coming out for him though. Already one single Mutalisk out there for action. Not a lot because he was forced to use minerals to get those Sunken colonies up. His natural expo not mining now. So economy-wise, not very strong position. Actually going to move out with the Mutalisks. Going to engage his Metagreens. Metagreens, however, 6 of them. More than enough with Stim to engage his Mutalist. 1 Mutalist dies instantly. They cannot do enough damage to his Metagreens. Okay, there were 3 Mutalists, but not nearly enough. Midas with more reinforcements coming in. And a GG from action! Midas! Oh dear! Oh god! I can't stop laughing! Midas 2-0'd his group. Midas 2-0'ing his group. Oh, I say he's not gonna go for 2 racks. He goes for 2 racks, runs across the ramp, and shuts action down. Oh God, Midas, I love you. I love you, you teddy berry guy. Oh dear. Oh, guys, it's gonna take a little while. So, Flash has 2 TVZs to win if he wants to move out, which is actually going to be very likely that he'll manage to do because TVZ definitely his best matchup. But Midas definitely lucky that I don't even know how long ago since it's been that he's been in this position. But Midas going to move out of here. And dear God, am I excited for this to see what happens next, guys. GG, Renshin Nathos listening. Hope you enjoyed. Oh, boy. Hey guys, Ranchin here, bringing you all another StarCraft commentary, and I am over 1,000. That's right, peeps, I'm over 1,000, and celebrating that, I'm commentating a match on Fighting Spirit. There's, of course, the Group BR32 of the Hana Daetoo MSL. This is going to be between Flash and HyuN in the losers match. Could have HyuN at the upper left-hand position as the purples are going to have Flash at the bottom right-hand position as the brown Terran. Now, people are wondering, like, I bet some of you are wondering, like, Ranchin, why didn't you special 1,000 video thing? Well, simply because I do have a special video I'm doing. I sent out an important announcement, about a day ago, 2 days ago, something like that, and to tell you guys to send me clips of your favorite moments, my favorite moments. So you guys have done so, and I am working on a video to fulfill that. So I just thought, you know, I'm going to make the special video when I finish the round 32, or at least not before while I'm casting and releasing a constant flow of the round 32 matches, because then just the special video is going to get drowned in commentary. So it's going to be released. Give me a few days to work on it at least. I'm a little bit... Just finished my last class in school yesterday. So, except for exams, for finals this year, I'm done with classes. So, woot! 2 years of college done. Booyah. Anyway, let's sync and talk about this match, shall we? 23, 24, 25. Now, Flash lost to Midas, and Midas moved on, and that made me laugh. I don't know, just something about that whole situation that made me absolutely crack up. I mean, Midas 2-0'ing his group. I mean, never mind the fact that, you know, he's facing off against Zerg players that are not of the highest caliber, but still simply the fact that Midas out of nowhere comes and 2-0's his group, a group that has Flash in it, who's a TVT monster, and Midas just straight up outplayed him. No cheese, no, you know, no weird shit. He just, pardon the, pardon the S, but just nothing too funky. Just, you know, he went for an alternative strategy. He went for something a little bit different, and he completely caught Flash off guard, and then he just completely and absolutely outplayed him. So I really like how Midas did play. And after that, he followed it up with, well, very surprising in my opinion, 2 racks, aggressive build, and he finished action off in a winner's match. So it's great for him there. He did go for a 12 hatch, and he's getting a spawn and pull up, and Flash did get the CV scout inside despite the drone trying to block. Flash apparently going to go for 1 racks into command center. That's been his bread and butter in TVZ, so I think he's just going to keep on doing it. Not going to try to do anything funky like Midas did in a situation a lot like this, cross position on Fighting Spirit. He's just gonna stick to his good old play. Besides, he is much more of a macro guy. He likes to basically, if he takes a TVZ into the late game, good chance is he's gonna win it. We are seeing a additional hatchery being added in by HyuN, so most likely he is gonna go for a Muta build now. HyuN, well, I'm not sure if it's the word famous would be the right word to be used, but he is known for the fact that he ended Flash's insane TVZ streak that he had, I believe, before Christmas. I believe it was in December that HyuN ended Flash's insane Terran versus Zerg killing streak. It surprised some people. He also had, I believe, an insane TVT streak going on that was ended as well. Don't quite remember who did that. But you know, I'm not saying it's a grudge match because it's a while ago since that happened. But you know, I don't think Flash is going to have too many troubles. That does happen because just the level of skill these days is high enough that theoretically speaking, anybody can beat anybody. You know, not all the time. I mean, the odds might be heavily in the favor of the best player, but simply because everybody in an A team of a game is expected to have a specific amount of skill, a specific level of mechanics and such. Flash still keeping his SV alive inside, doing a great job spotting the lair out. Probably going to know there's a Sparta coming in. I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to keep it alive for too much longer because there are 3 Zerglings surrounding it, and just they're getting shots here and there. Only 3 more shots from the Zerglings. Ooh, 1 more shot on that SCV. He's just going to flee with it now. No sense in it does get that picked off. Yeah, I mean, the way StarCraft is these days with the levels of players is that any given player can beat any other given player. That just is a fact. Even if the odds are 100 to 1, it can still happen. Flash is just going to get his good old standard going, get his academy up, has his 2 racks going. He's going to have a couple medics to support, then add in more barracks as that happens. Spire on the way for HyuN, so he's going to run in there with his mutas, but they're probably going to be highly ineffectual just because Flash has more than enough time. He puts a bunker up at the front to help him against any sort of run bys, and this is also actually going to help him against Mutalisks because they do range a quite decent area. Engineer base should be, there's the engineer base, so Flash is going to have his turrets up. He's going to put down a turret most likely near the barracks. You always want to have 1 turret near the barracks just so the Mutalisks can't fly in and snipe units coming out. And of course you want to have turrets to support your mining bases. So he's probably going to have those in time. Also going to have a decent medic marine grouping, which is actually going to move out and push right now just to force HyuN to put down a couple of sunken colonies at his front. This is, TVZ unfortunately for viewers these days has become a little bit stale. I've talked about this before. And it doesn't really become interesting until mid-game at least because the beginnings are usually so much the same. Especially with just how the builds are. It's always 2 hatch. It's always 2 hatch muta, 2 base muta against 1 Rex into Expo. Gets kind of stealth Flash. Interestingly enough, actually producing a couple firebats at the back just to help defend against any possible Zergling run bys. And actually, very good timing is because HyuN had a whole control group of Zerglings that was ready with to run by those forces and try to go into the natural. Has some Zerglings running back now. He does not want to engage these medic marine groups unless he would have had Mutas to support. With that, he would have been able to actually take it down. Does have a drone at the bottom left-hand position. Zerg players do tend to not run with that. Zerglings are actually going to come in and defend. Tried to catch Flash off guard. Picked off some Marines there, but without his Mutas, he actually should have waited 5 seconds for his Mutas to come in and support that. It would have actually been able to get a surround and air support. Would have been able to rip those forces to pieces. Flash doesn't have his turrets coming up, does have a factory on the way. So forgoes the 3rd racks to go for a slightly faster tech. Most likely going to see him adding in 2 additional barracks as soon as that factory comes down. 3 turrets at the front here at the north side. Does have the bunker at the bottom side to protect. Mutas are going to come in, going to see themselves being shot at from 3 turrets. HyuN meanwhile going to expand the lower left-hand position, and it's simply they expand further away from the base simply so they can take a safer 3rd, because if you expand at the 12 o'clock, if HyuN would have expanded at the 12 o'clock, taking a 4th would have been a little bit more dangerous. Easier to just hunker down at the bottom left hand, take 2 bases there, take those 2 additional gases, and just sunken up and hunker down and feel safe. And that Flash now adding in the starport alongside his third barracks, so he is going to be working on Science Vessel. HyuN going to come in at the front here, has some Zerglings alongside his Mutas to support, but he really wants to go and do some damage. Two turrets that are inside the base. Mula's going to fly inside, going to get shot by turrets all over the place, but Flash! No turrets at the back of these mineral lines, so at the very least, HyuN going to force a float, going to catch some Medic Marines here in the open, going to take some decent shots, but the turrets all over the place for Flash. So Flash takes a little bit of SCV damage, but the sacrifice for HyuN was huge. Man, so many turrets all over the place. Flash is going extremely turret heavy, not even bothering any turrets behind his mineral lines, knowing he can run with his Medic Marines inside. Gonna meanwhile scan the main, gonna spot the hive on the way for HyuN. Rather quick hive, just now getting his third base up. Flash, just by seeing that hive, probably gonna know, okay, HyuN means HyuN has a third base somewhere, so I could maybe move out and do some damage there. HyuN, at the very least, forcing Flash back a little bit, picking off some Medic Marines, but really wants to be careful not taking more damage on these Mutas. They took a lot of damage for those turrets. Meanwhile, Flash gonna move towards the low left-hand position, does have weapons 1, stim, range, everything ready for him, so the Mutas are going to be forced to fly all the way back, and HyuN's going to have to fight these Medic Marines. He's going to want to defend this base. There's some drones coming off. That just one single drone came, and that just got picked off. HyuN really might want to use. He does have a few Zerglings on the ground, so you should actually use those to attack these forces to help him a little bit. Flash going to go up the ramp. There's, oh man, one Lurker Egg. If HyuN had 2, that would have been so much better. He would have been able to blockade. Would actually been able to kind of box these forces in a little bit, but the Lurker Egg might actually go down. Most likely will. HyuN trying to defend with the Lurkers. Has a sunken colony at the main. Does have another Lurker morphing while Flash is focusing down the second one. So we're going to see whether there's actually more of an elaborate strategy from HyuN to put down one Lurker for Flash to focus on. A Lurker just barely comes up and dies instantly. Second sunken colony on the way, and a Lurker there at the front. Flash still might be able to take this though, but there are some Zerglings coming in the back. This is just all in all has given HyuN enough time to get some reinforcements coming in. So overall, I don't think Flash is going to be able to take the position down. Defiler Mound on the way. Thankfully, HyuN not trying to go for some weird Ultralisk strategy. Lurker going to come down. Zerglings and Mutas flying in, so attacks from both sides from Flash. He's going to try to micro against this. He's got to be very careful. He's getting all of his forces picked off. Zerglings and Mutas coming in close. Flash did get a little bit did kill some units, but didn't really get any significant damage done. It wasn't a very large part of his army though, considering he's been producing much more, has tanks out, has his initial science, so just has to be very careful not to get that killed by Scourge. But this is really going to help him against both the Lurkers and the Mutalisks as soon as he gets that Irradiate going. More production hatcheries being added in, and Midas canals. There you go. That's really what HyuN wanted at this point. Midas canals. He's going to be able to get some troops more. We're going to have more maneuverability. Going to be able to get troops to the lower left hand much easier. And we're going to see whether HyuN decides to expand soon at that natural. It's going to be a bit risky, especially with Flash with these forces very close to that base. Flash meanwhile adding in a second starport, so he's going to be producing science vessels off too, and that probably means he's going to want to expand very soon. Most likely could move towards that 6 o'clock position. We're going to see in which direction he decides to expand, or whether it's going to be at the 3. Science vessels going to out irradiate one of these Lurkers, and the tanks, even without siege, are actually raging those Lurkers. They're going to siege up, meanwhile just start shelling them at the top. Force the Lurkers back. One of the irradiated Lurkers usually going to die there. More so going to be on the way, and Mutalisks flying to this location as well. This is going to be critical. If Flash manages to take this position right here and there, he does have a lot of tank support. A lot of Lurkers out there for HyuN, though. We're going to see whether he's actually not going to push it right away. He's just going to burrow at the back. But I think HyuN's best bet right now would be to get some Zerglings to absorb some damage and just go for the counterattack. He does have some Zerglings coming out, but I think it would be the best shot. Run in with those Zerglings, absorb a couple of tank shots, and just try to come in as close as possible with the Lurkers, because he's pushing back a little bit, trying to hold off those tanks at the sunken colonies. But I think he's actually might be getting splashed a little bit. Scans going off on those Lurkers. There are Guardians! Whoa! Wow, I did not spot the Greater Spire at all. The tank goes down in seconds. Those are going to be a Lurker build. Lurkers alongside Guardians. Scourge, not quite close enough to pick off that Science Puzzle, but 2 of the tanks already gone down. 1 irradiate. Probably going to be the speed. Yeah, wow, Guardian died in seconds. But these Guardians really going to help HyuN against these Medic Marines. They're going to be forced back. The tanks are going to be picked off at range. So nice little counter there from HyuN, but he really, at this point, he really needs to pick up another base. Has the followers out there. The follower at the low left and would have helped as well, but he didn't really need that. Doing a good job of picking up some tanks, but really, there you go. There's the Greater Spire. Did not spot that at all. Guardians came out of nowhere. Meanwhile, going to expand at the upper right. Whoa. I think Flash has spotted this because he's moving forces across the middle. I'm not quite sure where he's going to move those. Does have weapons 2 and armor 1 on those forces, so he's very good position overall. Is going to be expanding at that 6 o'clock. Most likely going to float off the command center. He's readying himself for that. Still keeping a decent macro going. Flash irradiating some lurkers. Knows the defilers are out that they might want to irradiate those as those come in. Guardians flying close to that 6. Yeah, just going in there, spotting is their command center, spotting that there's none. So they're going to fly back. Have to be very careful not to get caught in the open, because Guardians, if they get caught in the open with no support on the ground, they're going to be overall in a very bad position. HyuN actually has some lurkers at the lower left-hand positioning themselves. I think he might be thinking of expanding there because he was forced to cancel at upper right-hand. I think he has a drone there. I think he canceled, get him meanwhile, get a defiler killed. Flash going to be able to get his third up fairly safely. I think... Okay, there you go. Going to spot the drone and pick it off. But overall, Flash is going to be able to pick up his third fairly safely, and as long as he keeps that safe, he's just going to be able to continue his good old standard macro game. HyuN's still only on 3 bases, and I feel he's just gone for a little bit too much tech for him. The Greater Spire really pushing his economy to the limit at this point. So he desperately needs to get this 4th base up, needs to get that 4th gas up, because he's just invested so much, and really he does not have really a semblance of a very large army. Flash meanwhile has a bunch of medic marines, sunken science vessels, just sunken colonies going to go down in seconds. No defire support. Flash going to push back a little bit. No tank support. There's going to be a Dark Swarm coming on top, but a lot of science vessels out there as well for Flash, so he has a lot of support. Has decent-sized army, but meanwhile HyuN just has some Guardians, has some Zerglings, has some Lurkers, has some Defilers. He just has a little bit of something everywhere, but it just does not have any solid army group. While Flash meanwhile also going to expand at the upper right-hand position, so he's going to kick it into high macro mode. And he knows, the problem is that he knows he's safe to do it, simply because HyuN has spent so much on defense, he's spent so much in tech, he does not have the maneuverability to go out there and try to pick off a base. The Dark Swarms are going to help him push out of his own bases to force Flash back defensively, but he's not going to be able to go out there and do some harassment. Flash is going to be able to pick up that upper right position very safely without any sort of harassment from HyuN coming in anytime soon. So he's playing an absolutely beautiful game, has some Marines at a medic, I think, at that upper right-hand position to defend his whole, just in case something funky happens. Guardian's going to come out here, but oh man, the Science was just going to irradiate the crap out of these if they want to. Guardians are going to be forcing those Medic Marines back, but the Science was are going to fly in. Not getting any radiates off. Medic Marines actually engaging singular Guardians. They might want to back off and just allow... Oh, okay, Science was going there, doing a nice job of irradiating the fire. He's going to get... No, not a single 6 Scourge, I think it was. Not a single Science Vessel goes down. Flash, at this point, I think 6 or 7 Science Vessels, so he's keeping a huge count. If he wanted to, he would have been able to irradiate all those Guardians, but just saving his irradiates. Defilers, of course, a more critical target than those Guardians, actually. Because it's the Defilers that really can bring a Zerg back in the game. I did see an Ultralisk Cavern coming up, and really I think HyuN's still pushing it. Does get his Guardians irradiated finally, but I still think HyuN is seriously pushing it. He's had his 4th gas coming in just now. Going to move into some Zerglings to his upper right hand, forcing to fight up our ramp, and just Medic Marines steaming up and killing those Zerglings before they can. Just beautiful position. You need to get a surround with Zerglings, even if they're upgraded. With adrenal glands, they just cannot do enough damage unless they're upgraded. Did see his play go off as well, but didn't really catch much at all. Dark Swarms at the very least keeping HyuN in the game, but I think soon enough, the way this game is going right now, Flash is just going to be able to hammer one of HyuN's bases. HyuN really needs to think about expanding. He can take the 9 decently safe, just Midas it, and you're going to be in a good position. We're still running around with Zerglings. Flash, Armor 2, and Weapons 3 at this point, almost fully upgraded units, and meanwhile, see HyuN, his ground army has nothing but 1 Carapace upgrade, so they get ripped to pieces by everything Flash has. Oh! HyuN critically getting a nice irradiate on Flash's entire Science Vessel fleet. Now a Mutalisk is what he needs. No Mutalisk in sight, unfortunately for him. But one single Mutalisk would take down this entire Science Vessel force, and that at the very least would help him out. It would help him. Would not completely bring him. There's the Muto! That might take that entire thing. Is it going to be able to take that entire thing? Oh, 2 yes! Wow. The entire... Look at Flash's face. He's like, oh, kidding me? 1 Muta came out just the right time. Science Vessels kind of bringing him back to his lower left-hand base, kind of flew there and just found themselves being out in the open just to start irradiating stuff, and just beautiful Muta. This is not going to bring HyuN completely back into the game, but it's going to give him a shot. He's going to move to his upper right hand, finally finding himself with a little bit of Zerglings and Defilers to move out with groups of Fire Bats at the ready Defiler gonna just run in there, gonna get killed by... okay, I thought he was maybe gonna get killed by SCVs of all things. Flash still gonna keep up production, oh nice, another plague on those science vessels. Whether he's HyuN gonna try to stay in the game, but keeping those science vessels count well, you know, it's very helpful when you don't get all your thing irradiated, and if all your things irradiated. And this is very critical because if HyuN is indeed gonna go for heavy ultras, one of the most important things is to keep that science vessel count low. One of the most important things. The two most important things when you go for heavy ultra is get those upgrades, get speed on the ultras, get armor on the ultras, and keep up with upgrades, which unfortunately for HyuN he hasn't been doing. Ultras to be effective really need all the armor upgrades and all the weapon upgrades to really be effective, and have defilers and Zerglings to support. But one of the other critical things is to have that science vessel count low, because if the science vessel count is high, they're just going to be able to irradiate all the ultralisks, and irradiated ultralisks die very quickly. Armor 3 and weapons 1 are those ultralisks, so they do have their special armor upgrade, but still not enough to really want to engage these medic marines. No way. You need to get them at least to 4-2 before you want to go out and push against those medic marines, and you need to have plenty of Zergling and Defiler support as well. Flash still keeping a very comfortable position, has a very comfortable position in this game. Still has 4 bases up. His main dying at this point. His natural still mining a little bit, but still he has 2 mining bases. He's going to be able to comfortably move towards the upper right hand natural as well fairly soon. HyuN's still only on 4 as well, and you're 4 on 4. Again, mind you, HyuN is mining for every one of his, but still when you're 4 on 4, also forced to kill one of his own buildings to get those ultras through. But when you're 4 on 4 against a turn player, you're in a pretty bad position. A lot of Midases, so at the very least, a lot of Midas canals, so at the very least, HyuN's going to be able to continue his maneuverability around the bases, but really needs to continue trying to get did get a plague off, missed 1 science vessel, got one of his defilers raided, meanwhile, but at the very least doing that. Ultra is coming out, and still only 3 and 1. Are they going to get irradiated? I think of wrenches, the low right hand, no Zergling support, nothing, just... Oh wow, this is a horrific move by HyuN here. Just 3 ultras towards the 6 o'clock, and just hey, you can run in with 3 ultras, not upgraded, no support, nothing, just gripped to pieces. Flash fully upgraded, keeping up the macro. Just Flash is dominating HyuN in every way. He's doing it slowly. He's doing it defensively. He's not being careless. He's playing this game at just the way it needs to be played. He knows he's going to win this as long as he keeps this up. Going to move out with some of his forces, try to pick these Zerglings to pieces. Darkstorm comes up with the fire bats, so at the very least he's going to be able to help out. Pick up all those Zerglings. Not quite managing to stem up. Don't have enough health to stem and finish off the Defiler. Defiler might actually run and stay alive. But I think this is all building towards Flash just maxing out. I think he's very close, if not at max already. So he's just going to continue building a mass army until he decides to push. He doesn't even really need to push a base and kill it. He needs to just prevent HyuN from getting additional bases. And HyuN trying to pick up the 9 o'clock extremely late. Should have been getting that base up 5 minutes ago. It just gets ripped to pieces in seconds. Ultras, meanwhile, just mill around. Do they have 4-2 yet or not? I don't know. Still a lot of ultras out there for HyuN, so if he gives them the proper support and the proper upgrades, he at the very least might win some critical battles that'll give himself a slightly favorable position. But still, I see Flash as really taking this game fully. Some more ultras getting caught. Scourge coming in, picking off only two science vessels with all those Scourge. That's just not good enough. We really need to keep a strong position. Flash, wow, siege tanks all over the ridges. Ultra's gonna move. He's meanwhile picked up a 5th. When a Terran player is a base over a Zerg player, as a Zerg player, you know you're in trouble. Science Vessel going to get picked off. 2 still left alive. So Flash not going to have that, not managing to keep a very large Science Vessel fleet going, but still has a huge army, huge amount of forces, mining like crazy, so he can support troops in defense at every single location he wants, and he's just going to be able to mill around, sacrifice a couple of control groups at any point to pick off additional bases that HyuN wants to come up. So this is a game that might not even have a GG that ends in a battle. You know, we might not be seeing the usual Terran forces come in, pick off the natural expansion, force themselves into the main, and the Zerg GGs. This might just be a completely opposite type of GG, more of a TVT type GG where, you know, Zerg just realizes I'm on macroed, I have no production, I have no mining, I got nothing I can do, so he GGs. But generally, you see Zerg players at least going for a last-ditch effort with whatever the rest they have, and as soon as that melts, then they GG. I need a sip of water. There we go. HyuN's still at the very least keeping up a sizable army. Has some ultras, has some Zerglings, but I just don't think they're Never mind, they're not upgraded. I mean, never mind the fact that they're not upgraded enough. They're overall just not in a very good position. The tanks have weapons 1 upgrades for Flash at this point. He's going to move towards the low left hand. He knows he can finish this. He doesn't need to let this drag on forever. Moving in a huge amount of forces and still has enough to defend. Actually engaging some ultras and drones. HyuN thinking of picking up the 12, but he's in a horrible position economically. He's still only on 4 bases to Flash's 5. Flash forced to float his 6 o'clock position, but that's not going to affect him too badly. Some ultras and zerglings going to run up to the upper right-hand position. Flash has moved all his forces away from that, but he might actually have enough barracks there to actually keep producing enough to defend that. He's been also running in some forces towards the upper left-hand position. Has a bunch of medics that are going to die there. Ultras and zerglings meanwhile up for HyuN with the Dark Swarm support at the upper right-hand, but now HyuN has lost his natural to the low left-hand. Is going to lose the low left-hand main, so he's going to lose 2 of his mining bases, so he's going to have nothing mining except for his natural expansion in the upper left-hand position. Siege tanks and medic marines also taking out the mineral only at the upper left-hand that was mining, so HyuN losing all economy. His economy is completely dead. He's going for some counterattacks. He forced the float at the 6, doing something here at the upper right-hand, but that get ripped to pieces as soon as Flash's production kicks in from all those barracks and factories. Tanks and medic marines rip all that to pieces, and Flash still a huge army. Way more tanks than you want to see in aggressive GG from HyuN. Way more tanks than you want to see in a medic marine build, in a medic marine build from a Terran player in a TVZ. You do not, as a Zerg player, want to see the Terran player have the economy to go for that many tanks. Just you do not. So HyuN gets knocked out. 0-2 for him. Flash, meanwhile, gonna get another chance to move out of this group. Gonna have another Zerg in front of him. So I think most people are going to be betting on Flash to move ahead despite his initial loss to Midas. Good game overall. HyuN, unfortunately, making some mistakes, allowing Flash to keep that macro going, not expanding fast enough, and I think just got a little bit too much tech. Sure, it did help him defend the low left hand, but I think what he had 4 or 5 Guardians to do, a single Defiler might have done the job for him as well. So take that as you will. GG guys, reaching out. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Moving on to the final match in Group B, and then I still got one more group after that. Wow. Hey guys, this is Ranjin here, bringing you all another StarCraft commentary. This is going to be the final match in Group B of the round 32 of the Hana Daetoo MSL 2010 spring season. This is going to be on triathlon between Flash and Action. I am an action man. Action man. Oh God, what were the commercials for those action figure? Oh God, I've completely forgotten. There was some sort of G.I. Joey type of stuff. I'm pretty sure Action Man, something like that. But anyway, this is gonna be a triathlon. I'm gonna have Action Man, or just Action, at the 12 o'clock position as the yellow Zerg, and at the 8 o'clock position we're gonna have Flash in orange, I think. Pretty sure that is orange. Yes, it is indeed orange. Thank God. Thank God. Colors are not very comfortable on the minimap, but this is different races, so that's okay. And I'm going to sync 50, 51, 52. Now I'm expecting Flash to go for pretty standard stuff. He's going to start off by walling off. Triathlon, very comfortable to wall off your ramp. As long as you don't mind walling off one single base, you can do that with a supply depot and a barracks. Action, lucky for him, actually getting the Overlord into the correct position. It's very comfortable for Zerg sometimes in this map. This is a 3-player map, and there's not a lot of distance between the bases, so you can easily scout. As long as you scout in the correct direction with the Overlord, but also lets the Terrans delay their own scouts a little bit, but just because of the fairly short distances between the bases. This, of course, makes rushes very viable, but I'm not expecting that here. I'm not expecting Action to try to go for crazy rush, because Flash is the type of player who's very careful, and he anticipates those things generally. He's pretty ready for that. And with that wall in, of course, the rush would just fail. 12 Hatch going to come in for Action. He's going to try to engage Flash regularly. We're going to see what he tries to go for. Same thing that HyuN went for. Go for 2-base mutabuild. He is getting his gas up right now, so we're going to see how quickly he techs up, and whether he's going to go for those mutas, maybe switch up, go for lurkers. I'm not overall too sure. Flash, yeah, he's going to trick himself and just put up his expansion at the inside past the egg space, and this of course makes it even safer for Terrans to expand their first 2 times. Basically makes their second and third bases extremely easy to take. You pick up this natural, but of course this leaves him vulnerable to Midas. There is that weakness that taking up this base past the eggs makes you extremely vulnerable to Midas. So Flash really has to get that engineering bay as fast as possible. Might even want to go for eBay before Academy, get the weapons 1 upgrade and the turrets before he gets stim. At the very least, then you need a lot of turrets at that expansion past the eggs, the lower left hand, to be able to defend it well. 5 turrets. 5 turrets would make you pretty safe against a significant group of Midas, as long as those turrets are well grouped and can at least 2 to 3 of them can fire a group of Mutalisks at the same time. They're going to be in pretty good position. Flash now getting his gas going, so we're going to be seeing him ticking up fairly soon. Has only one, interesting enough, only has one Marine so far, so we're going to see whether he actually decides to switch up and go for something a little bit different. Maybe go for mech. This is a map very, very good for a Wraith. 2-port Wraith has been very effective on this map before. Action Mule is just going to get the full scout on this, though, with his Overlord. Flash is going to be able to ward it off with his initial Marine, but he only has 1 single Marine out there protecting his ramp and not much else at all, so he might be going, I'm not altogether too sure what he is going to be going for. Whether he's going to try to go for some sort of mech, maybe go for some aerial build. It does have a factory coming up, so Flash is actually going to go for something a little bit different than his usual 1 Rex into Expo into Mass Medic Marines. Not getting a second refinery quite yet. Meanwhile, Action going to actually plop down a 3rd base as soon as he spots. Smart play from him. Actually going for something a little bit different than what Zerg players have been going for. He's actually going to pick up a 3-base strategy. So he's going to try to compete with against a Terran player's quick expansion strategy with a quick expansion strategy of his own. Is getting his Spire up, so still probably going to get Mutalisks, but rather than getting a production hatchery, just going to pick up an additional base, and very good build for him overall because this is going to leave him very safe. Flash also getting Academy up, so this might be a mech start, and we're going to see whether he actually switches over to something else. Whether he maybe produces a Vulture or 2 to go and harass. I'm not altogether too sure what Flash is going to do with this, because when I think of Flash, I generally don't put the word creative and Flash next to each other, simply because I'm not saying that Flash can't be creative, because he can be. He really was a very innovative player, especially back in the day when he created the standard anti-carry build, actually getting an armory and a starport up, engineering bay and academy up as well. Saw his 2nd factory up, so he's going for something completely different, and really interesting to see something different into the usual stuff. So he's probably going to go for Valkyries to help counter these. Might go for some Goliaths alongside on the ground. Not altogether too sure. Might be going for a Valkyrie Goliath build. It's going to be real interesting to see. I think it was Flash who a little while back, half a year ago, maybe a little bit more, that had some sort of very weird Goliath Medic Marine build that either succeeded miraculously or just extremely well, basically killed the Zerg player completely, or failed horrendously. It was one or the other. And he had that for a little while, but he stopped doing that as soon as a counter was found. Action going to expand another time, yet again, at the upper left hand. Going to go past the mineral lines, past the eggs there. Going to be seeing that initial Valkyrie come out now, but yeah, Action going to expand past the eggs, the upper left hand. That's going to be a base still safe for him. Has initial Mutalisks out there, but I think Flash is going to have enough to defend. It does have Goliaths on the ground. Probably has Charon boosters at this point. I'm going to see whether they're ready. Yeah, no, not quite yet. Did have the machine shut up, but probably doesn't quite have Charon boosters up. 4 turrets, that's what you need. Bunch of turrets past these eggs, because you're not going to have anything else to defend against this. He does have the Valkyrie, though, so the Valkyrie, very nice switch up from Flash, knowing, you know what? Just turrets. Don't quite feel like having nothing but turrets at the lower left hand to defend. So he's going for Valkyrie. Steve went for something like this. He went for Wraiths when he played against, oh dear God, Quanro. He played against Quanro. Against Imperial's attack, he actually went for something similar. Started off with 2-port Wraiths and switched off into Valkyries. Oh man, these Mutalisks coming in. I think they picked off 1 single SCD, but just getting fired on all sides from turrets and a Valkyrie. I actually know what he's actually now knows what he's facing off against, but the good thing for him is that he is getting his third base not fully saturated yet. He's going to start on that, going to get a gas there, and going to have this 2 o'clock, this 10 o'clock, sorry, I've been calling it 2 o'clock base, 10 o'clock base, the upper left hand going as well. A couple of Scourge alongside those Midas will really help him pick off those Valkyries. The Valkyries are a heavy investment, but Flash, thankfully for him, has 2 bases up, but he is going to want to expand sooner than usual off his regular 1 Rex into Fast Expo build. He can stay on those 2 bases for a long time, get Science Vessel out there, and stay for those for quite a while. But this time around, he's going to have to expand a little bit faster, especially with Action getting his own expansions going. And Flash is not going to be able to attack that upper left hand for a long time due to those eggs. Scourge and a bunch of mutas out there for Action. Action does a very nice muta micro, so we're going to see how he manages to utilize this. Got to be careful not to get his mutas caught in these Goliaths. 2 Valkyries out there, bunch of Goliaths on the ground. So these Mutalisks are just going to be forced back. Scourge not going to manage to do anything. Charon Boosters kicking it. No, I thought it was... Yeah, there you go. Charon Boosters kicking in. But now those Valkyries and Charon Boosters is going to be insane. One of the things you don't want to go for as a turn player is go for too many Valkyries. I mean, 2, 3 maybe. That's enough. Too many Valkyries start glitching each other. So you don't want to go for too many. But 2 to 3 is going to be more than enough to fight back these Mutalisks alongside the Goliaths on the ground. Getting additional command source. The Flash is going to be expanding quicker than usual. He's still getting, oh man, just huge amount of fire coming off these Goliaths. Those Charon Boosters, of course, quite a bit of a range advantage. And really pounding those Mutalisks. And Action just slowly being boxed in. Thankfully for him, he is going to be, if he focuses a little bit more on his econ at the moment, he's going to be able to get some decent economy going, maybe switch up, do something different. But at the moment, if he's going to stay on Mutalisks, he's going to be in trouble. Valkyries is going to fly in there, helping out a little bit, forcing the Mutalisks out to let the Goliaths take a few more shots on it. But we're going to see what if Flash decides to switch up a little bit as well, because the problem with what he has right now, he could be vulnerable. He could be vulnerable to a tech switch. He could be significantly vulnerable to a heavy tech switch. If Action just gets a bunch of mining and just starts pumping Hydras like crazy, he might catch Flash off guard. But I don't think he's going to do that because he has even Carapace 1 of those Mutas now at this point. Still no weapons upgrades on those Goliaths at the moment. Science Facility on the way for Flash. He's going to start working on some Science Facility. Has a third, I think his 3rd Valkyrie out, and I don't really know if he's going to get any more than that. Doesn't really need too large a number of Valkyries, especially with those Goliaths down the ground. Can just start working on the Science Vessel, picking off all those Scourge to make sure his Valkyries stay in the game, make sure they're not too vulnerable. Has those 3 in there. They're just going to be able to fire and force those Mutalisks back. So really, no real chance for Action to do anything with these Mutalisks. I mean, Mutalisks cannot fight toe-to-toe against Goliaths and Valkyries like they can against Medic Marines. There's just no chance. No matter how high a number you get, just if Flash keeps up a constant production, there's just no way for Action to keep this up. Flash not getting his 3rd out, so he's slowly but surely getting some very good position. Adding in a 2nd army, so he's just going to focus on this ground army. I'm thinking with time he's going to try to get some tanks out there, help against these Mutas. Muta's going to try to get into the lower left-hand base of his. Instantly forced back. Flash seeing that happening a mile away. Valkyries coming into place and all those turrets. 4 Valkyries at this point. Now, no chance for Action to accomplish anything whatsoever with these forces of his. Still, Flash has a lot of Goliaths out there, and really I like this build. Really, Flash going for something creative, going for something a little bit different, and expecting those Mutalisks. So, doing a bit more of a hard to counter, I suppose you could say, because really, Goliaths with Charon Boosters and Valkyries, they just rip Mutalisks to pieces. And I don't know what Valkyrie's going to come in there. I think I actually got a couple of those picked up. More Scourge going to come in, missing the Valkyries. So Flash definitely gotten 2 of those picked off. A 3rd Valkyrie picked off. So I don't know what that was about. Kind of getting them in there and fighting a little bit too much. Action, whoa. Look at all those Mutalisks. So this is one of the things that Korean players often tend to be a little bit stubborn. You know, I went for this build. I'm going to stick with this build because switching up would be too dangerous. And that is a possibility. Because if you try to do a late tech switch, you could get caught up and get caught in the middle of the tech switch, and you're going to be leaving a little bit of a vulnerable spot. Muta's going to come in, going to be able to at very least pick off 1 single tank. Not much else going to fly away. Valkyries still flying at it. Going to be able to pick off 1 of the Valkyries that was heavily damaged and not repaired by Flash. Going to come in there, try to pick off some SCVs. 1. And then just try to engage the Valkyries again. I think he managed to pick off 1 more, not too sure, but still huge number of Mutalisks out there for Action. He just keeps reinforcing these. Now, thankfully for him, he's going to be able to keep reinforcing these because he does have those 4 base up, does have those 4 gas, so he can keep up the Mutalisks. He can keep up upgrading them as well, but just don't think this is a very good position for him to be in overall. He's going to expand at the 3 o'clock. Flash going to expand the inside 9 o'clock, and yet again moving with Midas, picking off some SCV. So finally, Action getting some action, I guess. And Flash, meanwhile, going to move up towards the upper right-hand natural expansion. Tanks are going to start sieging on top of those sunken colonies, but I think Action should be able to fight that position back. But with those Valkyries continued being production, no science vessels out there, so Flash, I thought he might go for some science vessels to help support, but he's going to stick to Valkyries and Goliaths and tanks. Just going to get the science facility for upgrades. Has weapons 1 on his ground forces. Not sure if he's going to upgrade his Valkyries at all. Don't think he's done so far. Milo is going to come in there, try to fight this back. Not that many Goliaths. Goliaths coming in at the back a little bit. He just needs to pick off the tanks, and he's going to be safe. Adding in more sunken colonies, still getting his Milo shelled like crazy. There are some Hydras out there to help, but really you got to be very careful with these Goliaths, and tanks are just going to come in now for the finishing blow. Action is in a lot of trouble at this point. Huge amount of Goliaths for Flash, and of course Goliaths, they can take a lot of hits before they go down. The Mutalist, no way the Mutalist can come in there and engage this. Natural Expo is going to go down. The Hive is out at that expansion, and if the Hive goes down, that's going to be horrific. Meanwhile, Action can actually do a little bit of a counterattack and go for this inside. 9 o'clock going to try to deny it. Not going to be able to take the base out because Mutalists, no matter how high a number, they take a long time to pick off bases. They're more of an anti-unit units. Slowly showing that Hive, meanwhile, Mutalists going to go try and for actually try to do as much damage as they can. Picking up a lot of SCVs, engaging these turret bursts. Still some Valkyries, some Goliaths to help support against these Mutalists. At the very least, going to lower the number. Valkyrie almost goes down. Action just kind of flying around like he doesn't exactly know what he wants to go for his Mutalists. He doesn't want to engage fully because he doesn't want to lose him, but at the same time, not engaging fully also comes out a little bit badly for him. Not quite sure. I think he actually did not manage to pick off the Valkyrie, but now he's lost his Hive, so now he has to tech up all over again. He's picking up his what was his 5th, and now going to be his 4th, and Flash now going to be on 4 bases. Some of them not really too well saturated because these Mutalists have done at the very least a decent job of harassing. Finally, but Goliath now weapons 2 and armor 1. Mutalisk still only on armor 2, and there's just not going to have enough firepower out there. Action just does not have enough firepower to really go out there and engage. Flash is just overall in a far too strong a position. Midas Canal's out there for him, but if he was going to go for any sort of tech switch, he should have gone for it a long time ago. If he wanted to start pumping Hydros, he should have done that a long time ago. And Action just GG, sees his position is absolutely impossible. Flash just slowly but surely would have just rolled over him, taking out that Hive, just critical. So that's going to be it. Flash going to move on to the round of 16 as well. Despite the initial loss, he quickly handled some 2 Zergs and playing rather creatively, a little bit different. Very nice Valkyrie Goliath build from him in that match. Completely countering what HyuN was going for. If HyuN had actually scouted what Flash was going for early on, he might have gone for a quick tech switch. Maybe instead of pumping Mutas from his Spire, gone for just a few Scourge. And go for a quick Hydra switch up, make it more like he was playing a Protoss player. Maybe not going for Lurkers because Lurkers have a hard time against mech, but going for very heavy Hydras, he might have done something. Tanks would have been a problem for him, but still, probably would have had a better shot with than what he was going for. Some Dark Swarm and some Hydras in the ground, probably I think would have been a bit of a better idea. But you know, what are you gonna do? Action gets knocked out, and Flash moves on. So we're going to be seeing some more turns in round 16. And I got one group left for you guys. That is the all Protoss group. So no matter who wins, Bork power or not, we are going to be seeing 2 additional Protoss in round of 16 this season. So GG guys, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah. Later.